Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose. So it is the week of the Game Awards, and hopefully that means that it's going to be a fun week. I do understand that there's a whole debate and controversy around this year's nominees, and I completely understand that because some of those decisions were admittedly questionable. But at the end of the day, as ironic as it might be for an event that's, quite literally named the Game Awards, I do think that most people tune in for the game announcements specifically, and we do have several of those to talk about today. A few games may have leaked out early, including various Xbox first-party titles. So we are going to get into that, as well as the all-digital future, because something majorly concerning happened over the weekend in regards to digital purchases being pulled from consumers who bought them on PlayStation. This is a whole situation, so a lot to go over with that. With that said, though, we do have plenty of other things to talk about as well, so let's go and get things kicked off, starting with the Game Awards and Sega, because they are teasing something ahead of time. They've been sending out this card to content creators that simply says, "New era, new energy. Make sure to tune into the Game Awards on December 7th. So they are absolutely teasing some kind of an announcement here. Now the question really just becomes, what is it? Now, it's currently being speculated that it might actually be a Virtua Fighter game. The reason for that is because it seems like this card is being sent to content creators who play fighting games specifically. Maximilian Dude first pointed this out on Twitter, where he quoted Curious Joy, who also got the same card. She streams fighting games as well, so maybe there's a connection there. This would be a pretty cool announcement if true. It's been a while since we've actually gotten a brand new Virtua Fighter release on consoles. I believe they've kind of stuck with Virtua Fighter 5 and different updates pretty much since the Xbox 360 days. So if they do announce a Virtua Fighter 6, I'm sure the FGC will be thrilled by its announcement. If anything, I guess we'll see here soon. It's only a few days away now, but Sega is one company to definitely keep an eye on at the Game Awards. Now, we also got some news for the ROG Ally. One of the initial concerns for the ROG Ally was whether or not Asus would support it for the long run, similar to what Valve does for the Steam Deck. And so far, I think Asus has done a pretty good job. The ROG Ally has come a long way since it was first released, and now it just got its most requested update, which includes native gyro support. Previously, you had to use third-party software to enable it, but that's no longer the case, and this is a massive inclusion. If you do like playing first-person shooters such as Quake 2 as an example, gyro support can make all the difference in improving your accuracy. Personally, I would have said before this that the Steam Deck was actually better for those type of games, but now that Asus addressed the issue, this does make a big improvement for these games. Now, it may have taken a while, but this is definitely a very welcome update, and the ROG Ally, it really just became an even better platform than it already was. Now, I will say this much, though. With the ROG Ally now having native gyro support, I'd really like to see Xbox include native gyro support for their PC Game Pass games. For that matter, I'd really like to see the Xbox controller get gyro support in the future. I think that that's a big miss on Xbox's part. Gyro does make a difference when it comes to shooters, but we'll see if this encourages them to maybe update their end as well. Now, speaking of Xbox, though, it does sound like that their plans for an Xbox mobile store is closing in, and possibly for a 2024 launch. This is coming from Phil Spencer on Bloomberg, where he was talking about their mobile strategy, and check this out. He said that it's an important part of our strategy and something that we are actively working on today, not only alone, but talking to other partners who'd also like to see more choice for how they can monetize on the phone. I don't think that this is multiple years away. I think that this is sooner than that. So there's really two different interesting things that he mentions here. One, of course, is its launch window. He does make it sound like this is coming soon. Again, maybe 2024. Now, we'll see about all of that. But for me, the most curious part is that he mentioned other unnamed partners who also would like to see more choice in the mobile market. Now, here's what we currently know. We know that Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard in part because of their mobile expertise. They, of course, have King and content like Call of Duty and Candy Crush. So that acquisition is key to this upcoming mobile Xbox store. They need these big franchises to attract customers away from mobile stores like the Google Play Store and Apple's Marketplace. And that's really what we're looking at here. There's already a big lawsuit over Google and Apple making their mobile stores too restrictive. And who exactly is going after them? Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite. Is there a chance here that one of these unnamed partners could be Epic Games? I mean, that would be a significant partnership if so, because with IP like Call of Duty, Candy Crush, and Fortnite in one singular storefront, that could actually be a formidable competitor to Google and Apple. For that matter, because Xbox is an actual gaming company with a lot of experience behind them, they do have a lot of ties across the hardcore gaming industry. It would be very interesting to see who they can get on board and who these unnamed partners are. But if anything else, it sounds like we might get a more in-depth look sooner rather than later. Let's go talk about the Game Awards, though, because 4 different games might have leaked out a little bit early. 3 of those are coming from Xbox first-party studios. We'll get into those here in just a moment. And then the other is a Capcom game, being Resident Evil 4 Gold Edition. Now, this actually leaked out on Metacritic, out of all places, where it got listed with a February 9th release date. I don't believe I've actually ever seen Metacritic list a game early like this before. It's a very weird situation, but they have since taken it down. So, I mean, take this with a grain of salt until confirmed, but an updated gold release does make a lot of sense. This is coming from Capcom, who has done various titles like this in the past, such as Resident Evil Village Gold. It also got a gold edition 1 year after its initial release, and it included all of its DLC, the new story expansion, and it even came with an update that allows you to play it in third-person view rather than in first. The only problem with the Village Gold Edition, though, is that the expansion didn't actually come on disc. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that kind of defeats the purpose of, buying the physical Gold Edition. So hopefully that won't be a problem again with Resident Evil 4, but at the bare minimum, a Gold Edition does streamline purchasing Resident Evil 4 and all the content with a singular purchase. So they could do something similar here with Resident Evil 4 and the Separate Ways DLC. So I'd say with the Game Awards here in just a few days, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we got some kind of an announcement there where Resident Evil 4 is up for Game of the Year. Now, as for Xbox, though, this comes way of some Australian ratings that popped up online. IdleSloth posted this up on Twitter, and you can see that 3 different Xbox first-party titles were recently rated, including Hellblade 2, Clockwork Revolution, and South of Midnight. Now, I don't really think that Hellblade 2 is a big surprise because, it's already confirmed to be a 2024 release, some type of gameplay update with a more concrete release date. I could definitely see that being realistic. But the other 2, on the other hand, are a little bit more surprising. We currently don't have a release window for either of these games, and there's not even a confirmation if these will even release in 2024. But these ratings could theoretically suggest that, yes, they are planned for 2024 as well. Now, I am skeptical of that. I don't recommend going in with any kind of expectations. But if true, that would make 4 pretty decent-sized titles for Xbox in 2024. Of course, you got to keep in mind that Avowed is also planned for next year. Now, with that in mind, these are only ratings for the time being, so this is currently just speculation. But as we've seen time and time again, a lot of times when games are rated, some kind of announcement follows shortly thereafter. So that's why people look at ratings as possible early leaks. And we also know that Xbox has been teasing the Game Awards these past couple weeks, that they keep telling their fans to tune in for some Xbox news. And I mean, if all of these games actually show up with either some kind of gameplay or with release dates, well, then those teases would make a lot more sense. Again, we'll see if any of this actually comes to fruition. My personal recommendation is, despite these ratings, still keep your expectations low until we actually get confirmation. That way you don't leave the showcase disappointed. At the same time, though, if you do like Xbox, you might want to keep an eye on the Game Awards. Even if these don't get revealed, because I would take this with a grain of salt, but even if they don't, it does sound like Xbox has something planned for the Game Awards. Of course, if you do miss it, though, I got your back, so do stay tuned for later this week. Okay, so one other thing that we need to talk about today, and this is actually a major concern if you buy any kind of digital content, which, based on statistics, that's probably most people viewing this video. What's happening here, though, is that PlayStation sent out this notice, and it states, "Dear PlayStation customer, as of December 31st, 2023, due to our content licensing arrangements with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content, and the content will be removed from your video library. That is the big thing here. Now, it goes on to say, click here for the full list of affected titles that will no longer be supported. We sincerely thank you for your continued support. Thank you. Now, this list of content is pretty big with 1,000+ seasons of shows such as Mythbusters. Again, you can go check out the full list of content on their website. I will drop a link below. But one of the discussions that I've seen around this topic online is, who's at fault? Is it PlayStation because you bought it on their storefront, and so far it doesn't look like they're going to actually offer refunds? Or is it because of Discovery? Of course, Discovery recently merged with Warner Media and HBO, so they're making some changes, which, that seems evident here, that they must have either had some kind of licensing dispute with Sony, maybe they couldn't come to an agreement on the price, or it could just simply be because Discovery wants to take their licenses away and force customers to their services instead. Either which way, no matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, it's really a scummy move for customers that honestly brings to light an even bigger issue. This is a major concern, not just for PlayStation, but I say for all digital media. Whether you buy your content on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Amazon, or wherever, this makes the suspicion that we don't actually control the content that we purchase when we buy them digitally a reality. There's outside factors involved, and that's what we're seeing in this case. In this case, these companies are in control of quote-unquote our purchased content, and they can take that content away from us just like that, if there's some kind of licensing issue or whatever the problem might be. Now, we've seen digital games get delisted in the past, but up to this point, those games would at least stay in your library, so you can re-download them later on. So I think this problem has kind of been kept at bay to at least some extent, but this situation, it does change people's perspectives. It does make it a little bit more of a reality that we don't actually own our content. Now, personally, I think that there needs to be laws and regulations around digital content, especially considering the big push that all these different companies are making for this more digital future. If you look at the console landscape, both Xbox and PlayStation have their own digital-only consoles as options now, and most purchased games today are digital games. The same can be said for other media as well. Now, I personally buy my games physically when I can. I am a big physical collector. I've said this 100 times on the channel. And even when it comes to movies and shows, I do buy 4K Blu-rays when possible. But the majority of consumers, they have gone digital. For that matter, Best Buy, they recently announced they're moving away from physical Blu-ray and DVD movies next year. So the writing's kind of on the wall. We are moving into an increasingly digital-only future, and I think with that, it'd be nice if regulators could actually step up and do something that, actually benefits customers, not competition. We saw a lot of that with the Activision Blizzard case, but instead, it would be nice for them to actually solve a real problem, as we're seeing here. But I don't know. It's just so frustrating that this type of thing can even happen in the first place. For a company to take your purchased content away just like that with more than likely no refund at all, I have to ask, do you really trust these companies with your content? Because that's what you have to do currently when purchasing something digital. There's no guarantee on how long you'll have that content. If there's some kind of licensing issue, they can, just take it away. Simple as that. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though. We're asked you all, what's your hype level at for the Game Awards on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most excited? And the majority of you all did vote for a 3 or below. And I think that that's probably a reasonable response here, just because, if you do have high expectations, there's a chance that you will leave disappointed. We've seen that happen with so many showcases in the past where people go in with, sky-high expectations, and as soon as it doesn't meet those expectations, people leave disappointed. So I think that a 3 is a good result here. I assume that that means that you're excited, but you are keeping your expectations in check, and that's how I feel as well. I think the thing for me is that Jeff tends to make his showcases overly bloated. And, that's been a constant criticism with his events. And, we've already gotten word that the Game Awards will be about 3 hours long. So I wish he would tone that back a little bit. But I'm hoping for some cool and surprising announcements periodically. And if that happens, I'm sure that I will leave more than happy. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.